and welcome back to Cuckoo for Books. My name is Sava and today I have another book review for you guys. This time it is on Katie Allender's The Dead Girls of Hysteria haul. Ooh. This review has been a long time coming. I finished this about 4 months ago and I promised I was gonna do a review in time for Halloween. Haha, I know, right? But better late than never, right? So here we go. So this is clearly a ghost story by one of my favorite YA horror authors, Katie Allender. I did a review for her famous last words and you can watch that over here. It was another amazing book. This is an amazing book. It's scary enough that it's not lame, but it's not too scary that I was lying awake at night thinking if that was a noise or a monster or a ghost. So it had that perfect formula. If you're a scaredy cat like me, then you will get scared by this novel, particularly one character who we'll get to later. But first, a brief summary. Cordelia, our heroine, inherits a nice old manor from her dead aunt. And so she and her family go to this manor, decide to spruce it up as a summer project. Before they get there, they meet someone and he's like, oh, you mean the old asylum where crazy people used to go and die? They're like, what? I thought it was just a house. And so apparently her aunt lived at this asylum because her parents ran it and like their ancestors, great whatever owns it. So they go and ghosts happen. I wouldn't say I didn't like it about the book, but it did take me by surprise. Reading the summary, I thought it was going to be more of her meeting these crazy people, even though they're dead. It turned out this book is less of a crazy people in the mental institution book than it is ghosts. It's about ghosts. It's a ghost story. It's not American Horror Asylum-y. It's more of ghosty. It's not bad, but just change your expectations, people. I don't like ghost stories where it's just an inherent evil and we don't know why it's there, but somehow there's an evil thing. The evil in this book was super explained, like why there was a bad force in the house and how it came to be. And as far as ghost stories go, it was pretty plausible. So I really like how the author took the time to flesh out the backstories of each ghost there, of why ghosts started being there in the first place, or why this all happened. So props for that. Talking about ghosts, I really like how Katie Allender portrayed the passage of time and how it affects ghosts in this novel, because assuming ghosts are real, don't you really wonder what they do all day? So the way Katie Allender portrayed it here is that a second to them could literally be 2 years. Like, there was a scene where she was playing with a music box and she was just turning the thing over and over again, and to her it was a second, a day, but it turned out 2 years had passed. So I really like that. It's a new view into the whole ghosts and what do they do all day, because they can't be seen by other people. I don't know whether to include this in my spoiler or non-spoiler reviews, but I read about it in a summary, so I assume it's not meant to be a spoiler. So within their first night in this haunted place, Cordelia dies. So she comes back as a ghost and she finds out that she's tied to this place and she meets all these other dead girls of Hysteria Hall, which is very scary because you sort of know that they were there for a reason. They're just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and they weren't there because of their excellent behavior. So this book had two of my favorite things in the world when it comes to YA plot points or book plot points in general, and that is first, a detailed and ancient family tree. I love the fact that her aunt left her this home which has been in their family for generations, and when they were at the home you could see like their little ancestor founding plaque thing. And second, an asylum setting. Ooh, from the moment it said home for troubled girls, office of the wardress, you're like, ooh, this gonna be good. I don't know what it says about me that I love books set in asylums, but I really do. I love movies set there. They're just so cool and creepy at the same time. So I really love that this book had both those things. They included this other trope plot element that I really love in movies. You know that part in the movies and the books where they uncover the chest of drawers or the file cabinet, and then they read, and suddenly all these revelations come to light, like killed by a fire, she really just killed her parents, blah blah blah, or she killed her sister and that's why. You know that scene? You know the scene I'm talking about, the revelation scene. It's almost in every scary film ever. I wouldn't know, I don't watch a lot of scary films, but you know that scene, you know what I'm talking about. So they had that scene here and it was really cool. I loved Cordelia as a heroine. She and I would get along if she weren't fictional or dead. Dead and fictional. There's a part where they arrive at the house and her family's like creeped out, so her younger sister goes, let's go to Florida. Cordelia's like, yeah, let's go to Hogwarts, let's go to the theme park, Harry Potter, woo-woo. And then her family looks at her like, no, we meant Florida, like the beach for normal people. And that was the moment when I realized that this girl and I would get along. Because this is a horror novel, it does have a lot of plot twists and things that I don't want to spoil for you guys. So here's the spoilery part of this review, and if you guys haven't read it, you really should. It's a great Halloween read, even though it's not Halloween anymore. So back to the spoilery things. I can never believe that her parents got mad at her that much to lock her into a room in a mental institution. Okay, fine. She did something that may or may not have scared her younger sibling. That doesn't mean you're like, okay, let's lock you up in a room in an asylum that already seems kind of haunted, and yeah, sure, nothing bad's gonna happen from that. So I think that was the moment when I was like, parents, not a good move. No, 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 no. Let's talk about the best thing in the novel, and that is Maria. Maria is the asylum's resident creepy exorcist ghost. You know, the one that walks on 4 legs and creeps the living daylights out of you? Imagine a child walking on 4 legs, and that's not a pretty picture, but throughout the book and towards the end, she undergoes this amazing character development that I did not see coming. I thought she was just gonna be the scary little monster up until the end. There are so many revelations made about her, and you find out she's just this little girl who was killed. Her bed is this little blanket that she made by herself on the 3rd floor bathroom because she gets bullied by the other ghosts, and she likes cutting pictures out of magazines because they're pretty pictures, and you're just like, poor child. She was the scene stealer, I would say, in this novel, and I loved her towards the end. The first mention of her, I was like, I never want to read about her again, too creepy, and in the end you just wanted to hug her and be like, you poor little puppy, I want to hug you. The scene where her family leaves her behind and she's a ghost and she realizes she can't get into the car and she keeps trying to sort of be with them just broke my heart. That was, I think, the sadder part about the book that I was like, I don't really want to read about this, was her family trying to forget about her, because if you thought about it from the family's point of view, they had a daughter who died tragically. I mean, sure, it's all fun and ghosts, but then if you think about it, they did have a sister and a daughter who died. The 2-year gap did allow us to see character progression in her little sister, who at the beginning of the book was a little brat and affected by her sister's death. She comes back and she's really grown up and she's mature, and at the same time she has this guilt in her that she can't take away. And just seeing that character progression from that little, you know, boy band obsessed little girl to this super depressed, tragic teen who was super affected by her sister's death, knowing that she kind of had a hand in it even though nobody would blame her, was really cool to read about. So there's a part where Delia was talking about how she made this Halloween costume with Janie way back, and you thought she was just reminiscing about her childhood with her sister and how she can't get any of that back. And then towards the end, her sister Janie comes back and she's like, prove it! Prove to me that you're really my sister! And Delia gets like all these things from the supply cabinet that made up their Halloween costume, and you're like, oh, that's so cool. So that's why she talked about her Halloween costume and how that sort of came into play, and that's how she recognized her sister as a ghost. That was just like really cool, and I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. The ending, the way it was a parallel of her wanting to get into her parents' car and leave with them versus in the end she understood that that wasn't part of her life anymore. He was out of their lives and there was this divide, so she decided to leave them by choice. It was such a beautiful, bittersweet, but beautiful ending, and the entire well, the ending actually, when they all just sort of, it's implied that they ascend to heaven. It was a sweet way to end the story. All in all, a really good book. Again, ooh, I am really loving Katie Allender as of this moment, let me tell you that. She has not disappointed so far. If you guys want a good spooky book to read during the holiday season, then go ahead and read this. It was 10 out of 10 would recommend, really. If there's one scary book you gotta read, you read this one. And that is it for my Dead Girls of Hysteria, my Dead Girls of Hysteria haul book review. If you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment down below if you've read it and liked it. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both at Cuckoo for Books, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys!